there guys, John Campea here. Welcome to my movie vlog, and this is a special companion video to the John Campea Show that aired earlier today on Wednesday, January the 17th, 2018. As happens sometimes, we ran out of time on the show to get to all the live questions that came in. So I said I would do a companion video to get to all those questions that came in that we didn't have a chance to get to, and we're going to get to those right now. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. And the first question that we didn't get to came to us from Kick It to the King Productions, who wrote in, just want to point out that Jon Watts, Christopher Ford, Chris McKenna, Erik Sommers also wrote Spider-Man Homecoming, 6 total writers for the Spidey film. And yes, that's true, actually. There are 6 people credited with screenplay credits. Now, sometimes credits on IMDb are divided up among screenplay credits and story by credits. The actual screenwriter is the one who writes the screenplay. But there are 6 members of the Spider-Man Homecoming writing corps. Now, the reason this came up is if you saw the episode earlier this morning, the big story today, of course, is that it looks like Warner Brothers is poised to hire Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daley, who directed that terrible Ed Helms comedy Vacation. It looks like they're poised to hire them to direct the upcoming Flash movie, Flashpoint. And that got a lot of people talking. Anyway, one of the things that I said is, that could be encouraging. I don't like the decision myself personally, but one of the things that is encouraging is that they did write the screenplay for Spider-Man Homecoming, and I like Spider-Man Homecoming a whole lot, although they're not being hired to write Flashpoint, they're being hired to direct it. And directing and writing are 2 very different things. And I didn't really like the job that they did on Vacation, so maybe it'll turn out great. I just don't love the decision myself. But you're right, they weren't the only 2 screenwriters on Homecoming. There were 4 other people. Thanks for bringing that up. All right, TNS93 writes, have you seen Black Lightning Episode 1? I liked it. Yes, I did see it, and actually a little bit later today, I'm putting up my review for Black Lightning Episode 1. I'm not going to do a week-by-week review of it, but I do like to sometimes review a premiere of a new series, so check for that on my YouTube channel a little bit later today. All right, Big Easy 1980 writes, I hate that Warner Brothers is using Flashpoint to recast Batman. Okay. First off, hold your horses there for a second. Nobody in any official status has said that Warner Brothers is using Flashpoint to recast Batman. Make no mistake about it. Ben Affleck is not going to be Batman much longer. I don't know if he's going to do one more movie or not, but if he does do one more movie, and I think there's a 50-50 chance he does, that'll be it. So there's a 50-50 chance he's already done, and if he does do one more, that's it. So they got to recast him at some point anyway. But nobody has officially said at this point that Flashpoint is what they're going to use to recast Batman. Nobody has said that. So let's take a step back from that. I don't think we're going to see Ben Affleck show up in Matt Reeves' Batman movies. I think we're probably going to see a new Batman there. Whether we see a new Batman first in Flashpoint and whether they're 2 different Batmen, we just don't know yet. But again, if you're saying you hate that WB is using Flashpoint to recast Batman, who said that? Warner Brothers didn't say it. So, that might be what happens. Absolutely. But let's take a step back and understand that nobody has said that that's officially what's happening yet. So let's not worry about that too much yet. All right. Next one comes to us from Art by Jalen, who writes, hey, John, have you had a chance to see the Krypton trailer? I loved it and think the actor looks like a young Tom Welling. Yeah, I saw it. I'm a big Superman fan, obviously, and I'm going to give the show a shot. I'm going to give this Krypton show a shot, absolutely. Who knows, maybe it could be kind of cool. There were some elements about the trailer that were great. I'm not jumping up and down about it, to be honest with you, but let's wait till the first episode comes out. It's just a trailer, and see if the show ends up being any good. Look, I thought The Flash was a terrible idea for a show, and now I love it. I love The Flash. So let's see what happens with Krypton. All right. Devonte Brown writes, John, I asked the official Twitter page, and AMC told me that Dolby AMC is different from AMC Prime. Prime has no Dolby sound. Okay, well, pardon me, I don't know who was answering those questions, but I worked for AMC for a long time. And unless they've changed things recently, what made an AMC Prime, before they ever changed the name to AMC, Dolby Cinema, AMC Prime or whatever, was that the fact that they had the Dolby Atmos sound system in them. That was one of the things that made it Prime. So unless they've changed that, I think whoever was answering the official Twitter page is mistaken. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they changed things since I worked there. But as long as I worked there, one of the things that made an AMC Prime theater an AMC Prime theater was the fact that it had the Dolby Atmos sound system. That's what made it an AMC Prime. So I'm not quite sure. Maybe you worded your question wrong, or maybe they just had somebody who misspoke answering their Twitter feed. But as far as I know, Dolby at AMC Prime does use the Dolby Atmos sound system, so I'm not really sure what the difference is. Now, the one thing that might be a difference is I think the new Dolby dual laser projection system, which is in a lot of AMC Prime theaters, maybe they didn't put that new Dolby dual laser projection system in every AMC Prime, so maybe there's a difference there. Again, I haven't researched this. All I know is that when I was there, the Dolby sound system was part of what made AMC Prime. So I don't know where the mix-up in communications is coming from, unless it's just recently changed and I'm just not aware of it, which is always possible. All right, next question comes to us from Ben Lorenowicz, who writes, if a Star Wars saga movie was coming out next year and you had to choose between seeing Infinity War or Star Wars, only one, which one would you choose? A similar question was asked last year about Han Solo versus Infinity War. I think my hypothetical scenario is more equivalent. And yes, somebody did ask me before, if I had to choose to just see one film in 2018 between Solo, a Star Wars story, and Avengers Infinity War, I think I surprised a lot of people when I said Infinity War. Infinity War. Like, the Solo movie is a Star Wars movie, so I'm excited about it, sure, but I'm not all that excited about it. Because it's not a movie I was asking for, but hey, it's Star Wars, so I'm going to be there with bells on and watch it and hope that it's amazing. But if I had to choose between just seeing Solo or seeing Infinity War, I'm going to go watch Infinity War. Like, I don't care. That's what I'm more interested in seeing. But the question you're asking, Ben, if I had to choose between an episodic Star Wars movie, Star Wars Episode 9, for instance, let's say Star Wars Episode 9 was coming out in 2018 instead of 2019. And I had to choose between watching Star Wars Episode 9 or watching Avengers Infinity War, then it's also no question, but the other way. I'm watching Star Wars Episode 9. To me, Star Wars Episode whatever trumps everything else. Now, Rogue One, maybe not. Maybe I'll pick Avengers or Justice League over Rogue One. Solo, a Star Wars story, maybe I'd pick a Justice League or an Avengers movie over that. Not necessarily this particular Justice League, but, a future Justice League movie or whatever. But if it's an episodic movie, I'm definitely going with the Star Wars episodic movie, because that's just my nature. I'm not saying that everybody would do the same thing, not at all. I'm not even saying every other Star Wars fan would do that, not necessarily. But for me, that's just part of my DNA. So if you're offering me an option of Star Wars Episode 9 or any movie, I'm taking Star Wars Episode 9. You could be presenting me with a brand new Lord of the Rings film by Peter Jackson. Doesn't matter. You could be offering me a movie being co-directed by Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg. Doesn't matter. If it's Star Wars Episode whatever, that's the movie I'm picking that year against anything else. Doesn't matter. Now, non-episodic movies, Rogue One, Solo, if they do an Obi-Wan movie, if they do a Boba Fett movie, whatever, then the playing field becomes a little bit more even. Maybe then I'm picking some other movies, like I would for Avengers Infinity War over Solo, for sure. But making an episodic movie, I'm picking the episodic movie. What would you guys do? I'm just curious. Let me ask you guys. Jump into the comments section and let me know. For the two scenarios, Infinity War or Solo, and you had to pick one, and then the other scenario, Star Wars Episode 9 or Avengers Infinity War. Which one do you pick out of each of those scenarios? I'm curious to know if you would pick the same movie, or if you're like me, you would pick different movies depending on the scenario. Let me know what you guys think. I'd be curious to know your thoughts. All right, let's move on to the next question. And the next question comes to us. I'm going to put a Halls in my mouth because I'm coughing a bit here. The next question comes to us from Thunder Knight 19, who writes, Your thoughts on Daniel Radcliffe's comments regarding the casting of Johnny Depp in Fantastic Beasts 2. Meh. Whatever. I mean, Daniel's a dude and he's entitled. I mean, he's not in these movies, so he doesn't get a say. But Daniel has, his opinions and he's entitled to his opinions. I mean, he does raise an interesting point saying, hey, we had a guy in our Harry Potter movies that got busted for growing 10 weed plants in his mom's house. And we fired him off of Harry Potter. This is something a little bit different, but because it's Johnny Depp, we're ignoring it. And I get it, but, J.K. Rowling, Warner Brothers, I accept their statements on this. They investigated it, they looked into it, they talked to both parties, and they felt satisfied. And so that's cool. And it's cool that there are going to be some people that still have a problem with it. I totally understand. I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from having a problem with it. I still have a problem with it on certain levels. But I also understand that, hey, Warner Brothers is the one that's got to work with this guy. They say they looked into it. They say J.K. Rowling said she looked into it. They said they talked to all the parties involved and they feel comfortable moving forward with Johnny Depp. I didn't talk to the people involved. I didn't get a chance to sit down in a room with Johnny Depp or his ex-wife and talk about this stuff. I wasn't there, so I don't know. They did. They said they feel satisfied, so they went ahead and hired him. And look, Johnny Depp, here's the thing. Johnny Depp's not... The name Johnny Depp doesn't mean what it used to. I mean, it's not like Johnny Depp is the indisputed #1 movie star in the world. Maybe you could have said that 6 years ago or something like that, but that's not the case anymore. It's not like Warner Brothers needs Johnny Depp in this movie. They don't. There are 100 other actors they could have put in this role. They did not need it to be Johnny Depp. So because of that, the fact that they said they looked into it, JK said she looked into it, and they all say that they feel comfortable with it, well, then I accept that. I accept that. And I'll let them worry about the rest of it. Daniel Radcliffe's comments, hey, he's entitled to have an opinion just like me, just like you. And he made his opinion, and that's great. But just because he played a role in the Harry Potter movies doesn't mean he gets a say in what they do with future movies. So I'm cool that he has his opinion. My opinion is not actually all that far off from his opinion. But overall, like I said, I'm just comfortable with what JK and with Warner Brothers said. I accept that they looked into it. I accept that they decided to move forward with Johnny Depp and they feel comfortable with it. And if that's the case, it's their movie. I'm going to let them do it, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Let's see here. Next one. Devonte Brown writes, thoughts on Maze Runner Death Cure trailers? Not much, to be honest. And I'll admit, I haven't loved these movies. The first Maze Runner wasn't so bad, to be honest with you. The first one wasn't so bad. But no, I didn't think the trailer is all that much to look at. To be honest, I'm even surprised they went ahead and made the movies. To be totally frank with you, I'm surprised they went ahead and made the final movie. I thought they would have used the injury to the one actor as an excuse just to ditch the whole project. And maybe they would have been better off if they did. But they're moving forward with it. I'm not a fan of the trailer, myself, personally. Let's see. Owen Curtis writes, you were strongly against Jaime Colette Serra directing Suicide Squad 2, because he hadn't made any widely acclaimed films. Why is Flashpoint any different? It's not any different. I don't like the hiring of these two guys. I don't know how was I not clear about that? I don't think it's a good move. And by the way, the situation between these two guys potentially on Flashpoint and Colette Serra is that Serra had made many movies, many mediocre movies. So he has a track record of mediocrity, in my opinion. Nothing horrendously terrible, though. I mean, I'm still up for checking out movies of his. I admit I haven't seen The Commuter yet because I just didn't think it looked very good. And for those of you who don't know, Colette Serra directed The Commuter with Liam Neeson again. He's directed a lot of movies with Liam Neeson. Whereas these guys, they have only directed one film, and it was a bad film. But it was only one. Colette Serra, in my opinion, has a long resume of mediocre films. So I didn't think... And, it's just important for DC to really crush their next couple of movies. So I was not in favor of them hiring him for Suicide Squad 2. Thankfully, he moved off and they've gone in another direction. A much better direction, as a matter of fact. But you saying, why is Flashpoint any different, is not. I've said, I really question this decision. To do a Flashpoint movie and to bring on guys who've only directed one film that's hit theaters so far, and that movie was Vacation with Ed Helms. That was a terrible movie. Terrible movie. So, I don't know why you're asking me why is it any different. I didn't like the Colette Serra hire. I don't like this hire. Now, like the Colette Serra hire, I'm open-minded to it working out. I mean, hopefully it does. Keep my fingers crossed. Hope that it works. But as a fan of comic book movies, I will feel more relieved if I find out tomorrow that the negotiations between these guys and Warner Brothers breaks apart. And if it doesn't, and then they move ahead with it, and they make it, I don't like it, but I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and hope that it works out, just like I would have done for Suicide Squad 2. So, yeah, to me, the situations aren't any different at all. All right, we move on now to Adam K. And Adam K. writes, even though Jumanji has done extremely well at the box office, do you think it would have done even better if it didn't open a week after The Last Jedi? Yes. Yeah, I do. Now, but remember, every movie opens against other movies. Whether it's movies opening on the same week as it, movies opening the weekend before, movies opening the weekend after, whatever. The thing is, December is a very good month for movies. So a lot of people go to the movies in the month of December and during the vacation holiday season. So even though I think it could have made more money if it didn't open the week after the #1 box office movie of the year, which was Star Wars Episode 8, do I think it could have done a little bit better? Yes. Would it have done tons better? I don't know if tons better because there's a big market in December as well. I think it might have done better if it opened in May or June. Maybe even an April release date. But better, yes. Miles better, not necessarily. Because it's a good movie. And when a movie's good, and it's fun, and word gets out that if you're looking for a good, fun time at the theaters, coming out and see this movie, people will find their way to the theater if they're interested. Let's see. 2 more questions yet left. Warrington Train Spotter 2778 writes, which of the Avengers do you think will show up in Black Panther? Captain America, maybe? Well, I mean, obviously, the 2 most likely people to pop up in a Black Panther movie are either Winter Soldier or Captain America. Because at the end of Civil War, that's where they are. Steve Rogers and Bucky are in Wakanda. So they're there. That's where they are. They're present there. So if any Avenger characters are going to pop up in Black Panther, it would seem to make the most sense that it would either be Captain America or Winter Soldier. That doesn't mean others couldn't pop up. Maybe Ant-Man shows up. Maybe, I don't know, somebody else pops up. Who knows? The point is, the 2 most obvious choices are there. Also, don't count out Black Widow. Because Black Widow seems to pop up in a lot of these films. And understanding her how tight she is with Captain America. The fact that she might show up in Wakanda looking to talk to him or something like that. So I would say, my guess, purely a guess, no one's told me anything, is that outside of the 2 most obvious choices of Captain America and Winter Soldier, I think the most likely candidate to show up would be Black Widow because of her relationship to Captain Rogers. So that's my guess. Just a guess. Let's see how it turns out. All right. And final question today comes to us from Presi Kiyogura, who writes, can high school movies still work and gain acclaim? Well, sure, why not? Yeah, high school movies can still work. Absolutely they can. They're difficult to make well. I mean, gosh, I think the last really great one I watched was probably Superbad. Superbad was probably the last great high school movie I watched. Maybe I'm not thinking of. I mean, you can make an argument that Spider-Man Homecoming is a high school movie. I mean, 50% of the DNA of Spider-Man Homecoming is a John Hughes teenage high school comedy film, right? So you can make an argument that that's a high school film. So yeah, look, Any kind of film can still be great and still succeed and still gain acclaim if they make it great and if they make it well. High school comedies or dramas or whatever are no exception to that, and they can still work. Doesn't mean if you just make a high school movie, it'll work. No. But can they? Sure, absolutely they can. Like I said, just recently, you can make an argument that while it is combined with an action comic book movie genre, absolutely, you can make the argument that 50% of the DNA of Spider-Man Homecoming is a John Hughes style high school comedy. So, yes, it can work, and I think it will continue to work. All right, guys. That will do it. That's all the questions that we missed out on earlier on today's episode. Thanks for catching up with us and getting caught up to speed with all those questions I got asked. I really appreciate it. I'm sure the people who asked the questions appreciate it as well. Listen, guys, while you're here, why don't you take a second, click on the subscribe button, become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. Also, make sure you click the thumbs up button, leave a comment on any of the questions we talked about here today in the comments section below. Follow me on social media. Right there, you can see it on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, by the way. Follow me just at John Campea. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.